one. That fuck. I know it's being recorded.
Did she steal your thunder?
Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud
and Famous Dave.
And this is a late ass fucking recap review sort of show, man. We're here to talk about the Challenge USA episode 8 through 12. Some people will be like, fuck this, like I've moved on, I'm ready for Ride or Dies. But yet some people might want closure, and this is what it's all about, Dave. We're here to,
I guess I've been trying to avoid covering this final for weeks, successfully, I might add, and but you brought me back in to talk about it. As much as I don't want to talk about that final.
Don't worry. I like we were saying, the anger will propel us through the episode. Yeah.
Unless I just quit and don't make it to the finish.
Oh my god.
I'm just gonna walk out about halfway through.
And then I'll be like Sarah, I'm like, I'm just slow as shit. I get to the end, no one's here, Dave's gone. Wait, I won? Woo! Spoilers, holy shit.
Yeah.
All right, let's go, but we gotta go back. Let all that go. We're going back a few weeks, a lot of weeks later, or before. Episode 8. And this is the moment where TJ drops the algorithm part. He's like, hey, the algorithm's perfect. Don't get it twisted, man. What? It's so fucking stupid. I hate how he talks. And he even admits in the final, he's like, I'm 45. Well, then don't be acting like that, TJ. It's fucking embarrassing, man. So from now on, it's not going to be pairs. Now, first of all, I want to say this is one of the earliest times they've ever dropped a concept. You know what I mean? Like War of the Worlds 2, it was partners for the longest time, and then maybe the last third was individual. This is like almost halfway through the season. Yeah. And why? Like,
I don't understand it. It's just like when you have a premise or a kind of a setup for the entire season, like just you had partners, you had, the algorithm was messed up because it wasn't fair or accurate, and it wasn't what they were, what he was portraying it to be. It was false because people were getting the same partners twice, and you could tell it was them just trying to rig things. I don't remember what episode it was, but like when Tyson and Sarah started their beef, and then suddenly they're like, oh, look who's partners with Tyson, the worst female competitor. And Sarah is like partners with Ben, one of the stronger guy competitors. It was like, oh, they're just trying to make him lose and her win so that way they can, create some drama. And everything was kind of manufactured. So I'm fine that they got rid of the algorithm, but then to change it, away from partners to solo, it's like, well, just leave it that way. Just pick one or the other and leave it the entire season.
That's true. Very true. And that was the episode right before this. That was the first time where it was like Angela and Dominic are put together again. And that's when Angela's like, no, the algorithm is wrong. But it was bullshit. Yeah. So was it because they realized it was the gig was up, or the jig was up, or were they always going to drop this halfway through? Either way, it's not good. I don't care for it. But let's talk about the mission itself. All right, we got to zip through these things, Dave.
All right.
Yeah. It's called Having a Blast. This was the one on the water, and you're like, you look silly because you have to walk lightly yet quickly on water. You're on a lake. It's like this long catwalk sort of thing, and then you just like take 4 flags. You go back and forth. You have people shooting soap at you, but a lot of them are going to be on your alliance, so they won't actually shoot water at you. Sorry, there's soap on the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's silly. This doesn't really work for me.
Yeah, it
But
seemed like the
Angela,
degree of difficulty was a little too easy because everybody's able to do it. Um, I don't know. I feel like I do complain when they make stuff too difficult where nobody can do it. But it is, I feel like the right balance is, like one or two people won't be able to do it, but the rest are able to do it.
ooh, that might have been the right balance because didn't what's her name, Desi and the Amazing Race girl? Oh my gosh. So I'm hating on this thing. This is actually pretty well put together. I feel like they look silly when like all these people who are badass, they're just like, oh, going across this slippery thing, you know? And like, why have it on water? It's not fast enough where they're like, holy shit. They're just like, I can't slip. It's so weird.
Yeah, I mean the water is just for effect to try and make it scary. I like it. To me, it would have been better if they're elevated super high up and they're on bungees. So if you fall off, then you're like terrified of heights.
I like
But
that. Oh my god.
that might have been more difficult to set up.
This is the one Angela wins, and this is the one where between Ben and Leo, I thought Leo won, but Ben, before this happened, he's got a little storyline cooking where he's like, "This is the anniversary of my friend's death. God damn it!"
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
this
Once
to
he started
me.
saying that, I'm like, oh, we finally reached the Ben episode. Okay. Because Ben has not gotten much screen time up until this episode, and then Ben kind of took over, it seemed like, where he had lots of stuff and lots of episodes. He became kind of a crucial part in the game.
Yeah, and also though, Leo, he said afterwards, he's like, I fucking won that thing. I was the fastest one that day. But since Ben went around saying like, I miss my friend, you know, my soldier
So,
friend. You know? They
so
were like,
when did Leo say that he won it? Like on the show or after the show or?
yeah, like after the show, like he went on Twitter or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, because I've always suspected this as well when it's like a race, but they don't show you anyone's times, and then TJ's like, the fastest was down to these two people. And he's like, it was Ben, and everyone's like, it was? Like, it seems like they're just pulling a name out and they want it for storyline, which is probably true.
Well, that's what Leo said. He's like, well, during this time, Ben was like, oh, my friend and stuff. And Leo, he's just going to talk about cats. So production is like, let's have this guy win because it's legit the anniversary of his friend's death. You know what I mean? Like, we're not making light of it where we're saying like, oh, it's bullshit that Ben gets the win because of that. It's just producers have done that before and people have tried that. Remember when Bananas brought in his friend for Champs versus Stars, his special needs friend,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then and then he was like, "Okay, we won, so I should also get the VIP. I mean, it'd be great because I got my friend here. I could raise him up on my shoulders and hand him the VIP thing. It'd be great." And they're like, "No, we're not gonna, we're not gonna do that." I think it was Wes. He's like, "Bullshit." uh, So yeah, that was the idea behind this thing. Enzo
Yeah.
gets last. He's going into elimination.
Yeah, Enzo is so bad at these missions and so good at eliminations. Like, it's crazy.
Enzo actually hurts himself. Remember that? And I think he had to get stitches or something like that. And this is where Sarah's like, I want to fucking talk out of one side of my fucking mouth at all times.
This is where
You know.
Sarah's like, "Oh, put me in, coach. Let me go against him. I can take him out." They don't specify it has to be guy versus guy. It can be girl versus guy. I'll take him out. It was just like, Sarah, you never wanted to go against a guy until you saw that there was like an injured gazelle, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna pounce on the injured weak one. Like the only reason you think it's a fair fight is because he's hurt and injured.
Well, okay. Part of me was kind of admiring the idea of it, where I'm like, all right, it'll never happen. You know, I mean, it used to happen back in the day in Gauntlet 1. A guy and a girl could go against each other in elimination, but they weren't going to let that happen in Hall Pass or Hall Brawl or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, I kind of admired it too. I'm like, yeah. And then once I realized, I'm like, well, she only wants to go against him because he's hurt. And then we see the hall brawl, and I'm like, Sarah, this production like saved you from getting destroyed. Like, she would have been concussed. Like,
Like Leo. That's what happened to Leo. Leo got concussed. Yeah.
I'm not surprised. Like, when I saw it, I was just like, because what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? Enzo. Enzo, his only thing is he's like short, but he's a big, strong, muscular dude. Like he's a big Italian motherfucker. He's an Italian stallion. Like he'll fucking run you through, run over you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's him. I mean, to me, he kind of looks tall to me, but he's all shoulders. He's like, hey, oh, hey,
Yeah,
so, hey, oh, yeah, big Italian lug, like, yeah, I was never once for brains, so Dad said to build the body, you know what I'm saying,
that is a phenomenal Sylvester Stallone.
I love Rocky 1. I fucking love that movie. So yes, I could do that all day. Okay, this is the thing though. One, I'm tired of Hall Brawl. Two, why are we? There's no way they would have beat Enzo. Like, when was the last time the smaller person beat the bigger person in Hall Brawl? The closest thing I could come to is maybe Tori and Jenny West. Were they similar? I don't even remember. But other than that, if you put the bigger person in Hall Brawl, they're gonna win. Fucking Fessy and Nelson, Big Easy and Wes, Leroy and Wes. Like, yeah. It just happens. So I don't know. I was like, I think production is once again siding with someone who isn't Leo. They all of a sudden they were like, we want him out of here or something like that, right? Oh yeah, so yeah, when remember Leo doesn't come out after he loses. He does, TJ's like, I guess he's a fucking pussy or some shit. I don't know what he said. He didn't say that because he can't be mean anymore. But and then they cut to Leo and he's sitting there on a crate. That's because he was concussed. He's like, what's the point? The paramedics just showed up. I'm concussed. He could have said something really stupid, like something about cats.
Well, yeah. He was like Leo's concussed, but also the reason why I would assume the reason why he doesn't show back up is because a lot of times they finish it and they don't record that last little bit until like fucking 40 minutes later. Like, it's not like, oh, we're recording it fucking like 3 to 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later. They just take forever to start recording it. And that's why some people are like, fuck it, I'm done. I'm gone. I'm not going out there again. Like, it's been forever and you guys are taking so long to do this that they just get upset at production taking forever. And they're like, no, I'm not doing it.
Would you do that where you're like, no, fuck you guys. You guys put me against the gigantic lug that is Enzo. I'm a smaller dude. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I mean,
it would have to.
What? If I was concussed, I'm not sure what I would do. I might be worried more about my own health, and I might not want to do it because I don't feel good. And I might not be able to string a sentence together without stuttering and stumbling, which, even clear-headed, I have issues with that. So with a concussion, it would probably be pretty ugly. But normally I would like to go out there because I would like to say some shit, and I wouldn't say a whole lot, but because I wouldn't want to let them edit me in a way, I would keep my answers short and concise. and they'd always be filled with an insult at production. So I was like, yeah, good luck editing around this. And then they'll just have to edit it all out.
Yeah, they're like, you might as well be D to us. Didn't they just like fucking erase her from the show?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And like you could tell like all the editing was fucked up. You're like, what's going on with the storyline? Something's happening. Just because they took D out, it had a ripple effect on everything. Nothing made sense.
Yeah, because the entire like story of that season was all about like Rogan and D, and like Rogan was making D jealous because Rogan was talking to some other girl, and then like everything was circled around that, and then all of a sudden it was just like, oh, Rogan's happy again, and D is just disappeared.
Yeah, completely. All right, let's get on to episode 9. That was way too much time for that episode. We're gonna crank it out even faster on this one. All right. This is Connect 4, where they're running around the stadium. They got to find pieces and.
Oh yeah,
shit?
this was fun. I like this. It
Um,
reminded me of Bloodlines final, you know?
yeah.
They go to that abandoned stadium and race around the track.
Yeah, this was more appropriately used.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh shit. Danny and Desi win. I think this is Danny's first win. Also Desi's first win. Sarah gets last. She was actually trying to convince everyone to go against Angela or something like that. But this is just another long line of Sarah really just like either proclaiming to be the best, and when she's coming up short, she's like, this isn't fair. You know? Like,
Yeah. Well, so this was like the Fab Five, when the Fab Five was together. And they're like, we have 5 girls and there's only 2 girls there. So we outnumber those girls. So we can send Angela and Kayla home like whenever we want. But then once this mission started, they fucking realized, oh yeah, 5 versus 2, you do have a numbers advantage. However, you're forgetting to count the 7 guys in the house. And when it came to this game, they didn't have enough people because the guys were not siding with the Fab Five girls. The guys were all siding with Angela and Kayla.
Let's see here. I'm just going to go into the elimination in a roll.
Okay.
Sarah defeats Cachet.
Yeah.
It's not like I was voting either way. Like I was really just like, how about I don't vote? I don't, it's either a shit sandwich or a giant douche. Like, I don't care who wins, really. Yeah.
I mean, I wanted Sarah to win because Cachet is not a good competitor, but it seemed like a lopsided elimination. I didn't think Cachet would have much of a chance, and she really didn't.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess overall, Cachet was more just like she would say random shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Where Sarah was just annoying the whole time. So yeah, it's a real toss up. I think overall, I mean, Sarah's our future champ, so I guess we should be happy about that. All right, moving on to episode 10. Oh my God, Dave, we're going through this shit, man. Code crossing. Oh, this is where you're on the trucks. You put in these little pegs, remember? And you got to like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So they had to decide where they put in the pegs, like 4 or 5 pegs they could put in.
That was kind of cool.
Started.
Little night bright sort of things.
Yeah. Yeah, the light bright. Yeah. And it was funny because like the first like 5 people who did it couldn't figure out where to put those first pegs. They would put them all in like the first half of it, but not the second half. But it was like some of them would put them like low or high. But it's like you need to keep them all low and you need to just space them out every other. Like it seemed very obvious to me as the watcher, but nobody seemed to figure it out in the moment. So,
right,
yeah, because everybody just kept DQing because they couldn't finish it.
Well, the thing is, I kind of wish that no one could watch because Angela goes last, and she's been able to see where everyone puts their pegs the entire time. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she does get the win. I'm not trying to take anything away from her because I actually think Angela's fucking awesome. Like she is fucking kept on winning. So like I have to look at her face and I'm like, yeah, you're kind of cute there, shit like that. And you're kind of diabolical. Yeah, you're just my type. My kind of ex-girlfriend. But also Ben wins. David gets last. Holy shit, do you remember David? David?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Vaguely remember him.
Okay, but this is the thing though, right? So this is the last men's elimination. They don't know it yet, but you gotta be feeling it by now, right? And this is when Ben and Angela are in that room, and they're and Ben's like, oh, David is like, send me Tyson. I'll go against the hottest prospect here. I don't give a shit. Send him in. But Angela is like, no, he's my number one. We can't do that. And somehow convinces Ben not to send in Tyson. Ben, this whole time you've been like, oh God, always a bridesmaid, never a bride to Tyson. You know what I mean? But Angela, she's got a way about her, man.
Yeah, I didn't understand this. This seemed like the perfect time for Ben to go after Tyson. Like, there's a couple issues here. Like, the problem with having like this troika where you have like two or three people. Was there only Ben and Angela, or was like Dominic in it? Because at some point there was three people in there.
Oh yeah, that's next episode is
Okay.
bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
usually there's just two.
it sucks because they're both solo people. And so basically what's going to happen, I would think, is if they don't know what's going to happen if they both vote for someone different. They might just make the person who is in elimination choose between those two, which I guess
Right.
would be fine. But it's so frustrating because like we've seen this so many seasons in a row on the challenge where you have like two or three people deciding who gets voted in, but they can't decide because they both it's a solo game, so they have their own special interest in mind and nothing gets decided, so then they just end up compromising on some less exciting option. So it's like production's kind of shooting themselves in the foot where like if Ben won, like Ben should be able to choose you know Tyson to go in, and then also you could have a girls elimination and a guys elimination, and then
Oh, that'd be
Angela could
better.
send in Sarah versus, one of her alliance members or some shit. And it could have been like epic, but we don't get that.
For sure. Because yeah, it went from not only did it go from like a pair going home every week, but then it went from guys week, girls week, guys week. And really it's been seasons upon seasons where this has happened. I'm not a fan because if you're not on the chopping block, you might not perform as good on that particular day because you're like, I'm a dude. It's a girls' week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have no motivation. Yeah, it definitely it helped it so much. Like when it was like an hour and a half long episode, and then you could have the guys elimination and the girls elimination at the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Let's get into that elimination where this is fucking nuts. Enzo in Balls In defeats David. The young buck is defeated by the Italian stallion, a
Yeah,
completely different animal. Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. Like David, I thought I'm like, oh, he's taller, he's faster, he's younger, he's gonna win. But he kind of seemed to gas out and got tired. And Enzo was just so big and strong that like Enzo was able to hit him on defense and just like go straight at him and hit him and just knock him backwards. And David was kind of playing it like he was a point guard playing basketball, where he would like try and juke him out a little bit. But then Enzo would just crash straight forward, hit him, and knock him out of the circle. And I was like, all right, you're out. So it was
Yeah.
it was bad strategy by David. He also gassed out and he just wasn't strong enough.
But Enzo was tired as well. That was the fucked up thing because he's like, I'm 44 years old. You know what I mean? That's all Enzo is. He's always just like, hey, what do you want? Hey, over there. Oh, it's like, I can't, I don't know. My comparison, and I think we talked about this off camera, where I'm like, you're ride or die. Is it Enzo or Big Easy?
It's Big Easy for sure. Because
it is. It really is.
Enzo's gonna lose you every single mission, and he's good in the eliminations, but he's gonna lose you a final too. But missions and final, he's screwed. Elimination might help you out.
Big Easy will swim. Big Easy will do shit. Enzo, holy shit. Like, that, yeah, Big Easy is now, like, kind of cool.
But the problem is Big Easy will quit in an elimination. Where Enzo will not.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's the argument.
Well, okay, but I'd rather... Yeah, but Enzo quits in a final. That's poison. That's a death sentence.
And imagine going, if I'm going to lose on a season, I'll just lose in episode 4 or 5 rather than get all the way to the final and then lose 5 minutes in.
That's bad. Okay, let's get into episode 11. This is a night mission. This is Getting Tired. And this is also completely useless to the dudes. They're already in the final. They don't know it yet. And fucking what happens? Ben's gonna hurt himself on this useless fucking mission. He's toast. He fucks up his shoulder, right? And then he's let go. Yeah.
Why did they do this at night? How incredibly dangerous is it to be running around a concrete warehouse in the middle of the night?
I did like the production though. I kind of liked it. It was kind of weird and spooky and off-putting. But the thing is though, the thing that sucked is that it didn't matter for the guys. In a lot of ways, like fucking even Tyson and Dominic, spoilers, they split a win. No, bullshit production, bullshit.
Yep.
Even if they got the same amount of points, what usually happens then? You go to the clock. Who did it faster? It's such bullshit. Oh my god.
And Tyson said that he actually made like 3 more trips than Dominic. Because Dominic got like the first one that was like 20 points. So then Tyson had to make up for it by getting smaller point values or whatever. So then everything was like worth 2 or 3 points.
Yeah. The other thing is Sarah wins. But it's so when this happened, this is almost like a play-by-play sort of scenario. She wins, and I'm like, oh, that's something, right? You finally fucking won. And she says, I finally got my first win out of this entire season and the 3 Survivor seasons that I've had. And to me, my jaw dropped to the floor, and I'm like, you've never won once? And the way she carries herself, the way she talks, you would assume that she has at least once.
She's got the confidence of a 5-time champion, but she's never won.
Oh my god. It was so... I was so angry. As soon as she said that, I went from like kind of like, good for you, to just, I was so fucking pissed.
It's so funny because it's her type of ego fits perfectly with her job profession.
Oh, shit. And I love the fact that as a cop, she's like, okay, that guy, he's injured. Now it's for me to pounce.
Yeah, I can take him.
Our finest.
But like, why did Sarah win? Because Angela couldn't finish a puzzle. Oh yeah, we're gonna see that in the final.
It's not just that. It's not. Oh, it's not just. No, she did finish the puzzle. Don't take that away from her. It's that
No,
she took how many hours to finish that first puzzle? That's
yeah,
ludicrous.
she couldn't. Angela spent the entire time trying the one puzzle, and she couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, no, I thought she finished it.
Well, she
She
did
eventually
finish
did.
it, but I mean, if the thing is only 2 hours long and it took her an hour and 45 minutes,
Right. That's what I'm getting at. That like she spent so much time. Eventually, I was like, Tyson, are you trying to fuck her over? Because he kept on saying like, no, go. It's worth it. You know, they're slower than you, and with that 20 points, you just gotta blah blah blah. He kept on saying like, no, keep at it. But still, Angela, holy shit! Like, if you're seeing people going back and forth for how long? Abandon it. I don't give a shit if it's 20. Just go and do something else, you know? It was nuts. It was huge. A huge oversight, you know? Like, this is about the only time where I'm like, oh, Angela, no, you know? Yeah. But yeah, she gets last. Let's get into pole wrestle, where the poles around here are just a little bit thicker. And poor little Alyssa's hands, they can't even like reach around completely. Yeah. Dave, try not to get hard over there. I know you have your crush.
I mean, it was kind of hot. Not gonna lie. It was.
So
I had no idea that she was gonna be so undersized and tiny, and then I was just like, I'm like, she'll be good at this. She's surprisingly good. Yeah, she had no chance. It was a lot of these eliminations. It just goes to the bigger person. Like the bigger person generally will win it. Like even when Sarah beat Cachet, like in the hamster wheel thing, Cachet was so skinny and tiny that she couldn't get the wheel to spin at first.
all
And
right,
it took
yeah.
her forever to get the momentum going because she just doesn't weigh enough. And then like there's almost every like elimination, it just came down to who was bigger.
Well, I mean, they could have done another puzzle or something. It shouldn't have been pole wrestle. I understand that it's probably better that Angela won, but still make it fair a little bit, make a little bit more of an equalizer.
Yeah, I get them wanting to do pole wrestle because it's iconic, just like Hall Brawl and Balls In. That's great, but Balls In should have been a girl one, and pole wrestle should have been a guy one. They should have flip flopped those because pole wrestle is way more entertaining with guys, I think, than it is with girls.
Pole wrestle is
Yeah,
better with guys.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Pole dancing though, the girls.
There's an
All right,
exception.
hey, that was the end of what?
There's an exception to every rule.
But also, it should be hotter with the girls fighting over a pole. If we think about it, like a shake weight style or something. I don't know. Either way, guys. Okay, so
All my audio
I have
cut
to
out. I
take a
can't
piss
hear
like
you.
crazy.
Okay. I didn't catch any
Yeah,
of that,
yeah.
but
Oh, I have to piss like crazy.
okay.
That was the end. That was the end of the episode. So we could get to the final after this.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, let's talk. Oh my God! I will kill you, Royce. I will attack the larynx.
Sure.
All right, let's
You
talk
just don't have a
about
larynx,
episode.
but good luck finding it.
episode. They say it's harder to find than the clitoris. All right, let's talk about episode 12, the final. Right away, everyone gets on a plane. They land. Everyone's like ready to get going and shit. They show up at the beach. TJ's there with this little machinery. But then he's like, I'm sorry, Ben, but you have been medically DQ'd. You cannot continue on because you fucked up your shoulder on a mission that didn't matter. He should have said all that, but he didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. My blood instantly started to boil once you said everyone got on a plane and went out there. It's like, why the fuck was Ben on this plane if he wasn't going to be allowed to compete?
Yeah. And Tyson, and we're going to interweave a lot of Tyson's interview about this final because
Yeah.
I believe him. The way Tyson talks, the way he carries himself, the way he speaks, he's not full of shit. I mean, he'll lie to you to get his way in the game, but his confessionals, that's the true him, I believe.
Yeah. On his podcast, he said that he just got done watching the final, and he's like, I'm very emotional, and I'm going to be talking about it. And he kind of like said, like, watch out, I might like get a little too emotional here. But then the entire podcast, he was not emotional at all. Like Tyson is just like, he's just like a turtle shell that you can't penetrate. Like he has no emotion. He's just like a cyborg. Like he's talks about everything. He's not upset in any way. He's like, I'm just going to tell you what happened and you can decide how you feel about it. Like, this is what happened and this is what I experienced.
Oh, yeah. Tyson, by the way, is perfect for the show. Like, he really fit in immediately,
Mm-hmm.
But spoilers, he says on that same podcast, he's like, I wouldn't come back. It's not worth it to be away from my kids and only be paid X amount of money when you promised us more. Yeah, there's so much shit that we got to cover in this final. But
yeah, how is that not like a breach of contract?
Yeah. But then again, we already know that the producers are full of shit. The thing that threw me off is this was on Paramount Plus. This seemed to be in charge, like other people were in charge or something.
Yeah, like it was less MTV and more CBS. So it was like, okay, well, CBS does, Amazing Race and Big Brother and Survivor. I think the production on Survivor and Amazing Race are much better. Big Brother, I'm not really sure. I don't watch it. But I had higher expectations for production this season.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Let's press the Tyson button where he's like, dude, this production was like shit, Like Jeff, what's his name? Jeff Probst?
Yeah.
Whenever something goes wrong, he's like, what the fuck? What is going on here? Someone's got to get fired and shit like that. You know what I mean? But it was such a smooth operation, he said. And he's like, once I got on the challenge, it was night and day, So, and he also said, he's like, if any challenger, like CT Bananas West, think of anything, right? If they were to do a Survivor, they would actually never go back to the challenge. And I thought, that's something, man. That is crazy.
That would be awesome. That would be like Survivor is made to bring in like other people from other shows. I think it would be perfect, but they always seem to do that with a challenge where they get, Love Island and Big Brother and Survivor people and all these Amazing Race people from other shows. Everyone should be joining up and going on Survivor because Survivor, I think, is so much better. And it's so much, I don't know, it's a lot more interesting. It can be with the right cast, I guess. The problem with Survivor is if you're only watching one episode at a time, and if you don't know the people on the show, if they're all just rookies and they're new people, it's not as interesting as if you know them, then it's way more interesting. Because like the Survivor seasons where people come back for a second time or a third time, and it's like previous winners or all-stars or, good guys versus bad guys, like those seasons are the best.
Yeah, because apparently not only Tyson, but also Sarah, they did multiple Survivors.
Yeah, they've both been on 2 or 3 of them.
So they started to do that, which the challenge was a pioneer of having repeated casts. But
yeah.
Okay, so this is interesting because he's like, if they were to go somewhere else, the challengers, they wouldn't come back. This reminds me of the UFC, where it's like Bellator champions come to UFC, One champions come to UFC. You know what I'm saying? Strike Force come to UFC. That's the go-to place. But when really we know in the UFC, a lot of fighters like, this is fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's a big platform, but we're not really making a lot of money. People know us, but we're paid very little, and there's other complaints and shit. Meanwhile, UFC fighters will go to other places like the PFL, like Shane Boyos, whatever the fuck. He was let go from the UFC and he went to the PFL. He's like, I'm making stupid amount of money here. This is crazy.
Really? I didn't know
Like
that.
he likes it better over there. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I think, I mean, we've had our complaints about the challenge. We have dug into the producers and shit like that. We've fucking blown our nose onto TJ's sleeve, in defiance. Turns out we're not wrong. Tyson goes on there. He's like, this is fucking bullshit. Like, this what the fuck is going on? So
yeah.
I like
And
it.
we've never quite gotten like an interview like describing a final and what production was doing on that final as much as we did from Tyson, because generally everybody, like, they always want to go back to being on a final, so they won't say anything. They won't be like, I'm going to tell the truth about what really happened. Cara Maria and Paulie somewhat dug into a final a little bit, and they haven't been back. They've been blacklisted or something. Like, those were the only two who kind of, and they just like had a few like throwaway comments on their Instagram or Twitter or something about how it was kind of fishy in the final. But like Tyson, he digs into everything, and it's just because he's like, I'd never want to go back, so I have no problem just telling you everything that I saw.
Yeah, I think the only person who mentioned a little bit where he's like, oh, this final was BS. He's like, I don't know if I'd come back, but he did. Kyle. But then again, Kyle's a snake anyways and a piece of shit, so who cares?
And he's a slut for money, so.
Yeah. The very best of sluts. All right, so the algorithm is going to be reintroduced here. And so a girl will have to run alone, right? First of all, get rid of the partners. Like, worst case scenario, think about that. If it's not even, then just have them run as individuals, the entire fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
This was so annoying. God damn it.
It didn't make any sense. Oh, like, honestly, when TJ is first describing this final and he's like, okay, we're going to, we'll have different segments. You'll have a partner, blah, blah, blah. And as he's reading off the rules, I'm literally thinking in my head, this sounds amazing. What could possibly go wrong? And from that point on, once I thought that, everything just unraveled and it went horribly wrong. And I was like, oh, I don't know why I thought this time was going to be different. But why was there one girl running solo? Well, like, first off, it's stupid that they kicked Ben off. Like, he signed waivers saying that, like, hey, if I get hurt, it's no big deal. I'll pay for my own medical expenses. He signed, like, Tyson said that he signed a waiver and he agreed to be on the final. And they're like, yeah, sure, okay. But then they get there and they're like, nope, we're not going to have you on. So then if they had an extra girl, oh, well, I guess we should get to the Enzo Desi part, and then I'll kind of say what I'm getting at. But, like, if Enzo quits, we'll just get into it now. If Enzo quits in the swimming portion, why is Desi sent home? Just partner Desi with a girl and have a girl-girl team. What's wrong with that?
It is so annoying because on camera he does say, if your teammate quits, you quit. We have really, I believe, we haven't had these exact rules since the Gauntlet 3, when Big Easy, remember, he like collapsed and eventually had to get sent to paramedics, and then that team, the veterans, surpassed the rookies who had like a good, I don't know, hour, half an hour, whatever, against them. End up getting the flag first, and then TJ's like, I'm sorry, bros, Jesus Christ, you got to have everyone fucking cross That was part of the rules. I remember for years, everyone was like, "Oh, this is fucking bullshit." He said it out loud. He said it on camera. He's like, "You have to have everyone cross with each other." That was the deadly part. But then, how many times do the cast say like, "Oh, they cut out all these segments where they said this and that," you know? Cut out the part where you're like, if your partner quits, you quit. Let Desi continue on. Oh my God, there's so much shit they could have done. Okay, so this is kind of jumping forward a little bit, where the producers are full of shit sometimes. And Tyson, remember, he's like, "So what are the rules here?" "Oh, there are no rules, but we have it in our head," or something like that. Remember
Yeah,
that?
he's like, where is that rule written down? He's
Yes.
like, it's written in my head.
Right.
Like that.
Exactly. Okay, so eventually a lot of them quit. Part of me was like, this is almost like going back to the UFC, where Dana White, remember, he brought in Ben Askren from ONE, and he's like, "I'm going to put you against Robbie fucking Lawler." You know what I mean? And Ben just happened to win. He barely did, but he won on some bullshit technicality, right?
Yeah.
After that, Jorge Masvidal smashes him. Damian Maya smashes him, right?
Yeah.
Dana White was trying to take, "Oh, this is ONE's champion. I can destroy him with all my UFC guys." You know what I mean?
Yep.
Was this producers saying, "We are hardcore. We're better than Survivor. We're better than Amazing Race." You know what I mean?
You might be onto
That is my
something.
vibe. Yeah.
You might be onto something there. They might have just been like, hey, I'm just the only way that we can show that we're better than you is to just give you a bunch of fucking puzzles that you don't know how to do, and we'll do it while we'll make sure you don't have any gloves or coats and it's freezing rain and you're on the top of a snowy mountain and you're like, well, I have hypothermia. I think I need to go to the medical tent. And they're like, well, if you walk over to the medical tent, it means you quit. You're a quitter.
Yeah, that's the idea, where they're like, we didn't think they would quit, but we certainly didn't make this fun. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't. This is probably the most miserable final I've ever seen. They're going to have the point system, partnership point system, where it's like first gets 5, second gets 4, and so on. We already had this done to, I would say, almost perfection in All Stars 3. It was a well done final if you have to go through the partner bullshit, right?
Yeah.
With this one, yeah, like none of this is fun. It's shit that they've already done. It's going to start off with swimming, and then they're going to do a slider puzzle, which they've done. You know, none of this is new. And this is where Big Easy's successor, Enzo, quits. And poor Desi, man. Holy shit. I've never seen such a hotter, beautiful, strong, independent female just get everything taken away from her because from a dude who's like, "Hey, oh, hey, oh. I'm sorry, hey." Like,
I don't know how to
he's always
swim.
apologizing. He's always shrugging his shoulders like, "Hey, no one fucking asked me if I wanted to be here," you know? Oh my God.
And what's really sad about it is, like, it's the very first thing in the final. She works the entire season to get to this point, and they just take it away from her because of the algorithm that gave her Enzo as a fucking partner. Like, why couldn't it have been Sarah? It could have been any girl. But production chose, they knew that Enzo couldn't swim. Like, everyone knows that Enzo can't swim.
Oh.
But they gave Enzo the partner of Desi. So they kind of knew what was up. And what Tyson was saying about how Desi, like, they didn't just like put her on a helicopter and fly her out of there. She had to like ride along in the car for the entire final and just like tag along.
Watch everyone compete?
Yeah,
From a car?
yeah, because they didn't have anywhere to go with her. So it was just like her and Enzo just like cruising around in a car, and she's just like stuck there in this fucking weird hell. And she had to watch everyone compete in the final while she couldn't. Like, what is wrong with you guys?
Holy shit. That is horrible. Uh, that's very sad, actually. I wasn't prepared for that. Hey, it sucks, but we got to move on, right? Or do you care who wins? Do you remember how people are doing?
No, I mean that doesn't really matter because
Yeah. Uh,
people just end up quitting really anyways. So
well, let's get to number 2, where you have to. I think it's running, and then you get to have to eat an onion. Oh, and then you have to do an equation. Yeah, there's like math after this, but first you have to eat the onion with garlic and lemon juice. You don't have to drink the lemon juice, but you have to eat everything else. Yeah.
yeah.
So this is the thing. This is what I remember. What's her name? Angela. She's like, I'm a vegetarian. Thank God. I'm gonna take. She's like, I've eaten vegetables all my life. I know how to prepare it and shit like that. She's like, the lemon juice will, neutralize the whatever acidity of the onion or whatever, right? And it's working, right? And then you cut the Dom. It's like, so I see Angela, doing this and that. Just take it and eat it like a goddamn apple. Dominic is one of the most annoying fucking, like, I know everything, fucking listen to me, even though he's a fucking dumbass and he's fucking 40 something and he's fucking overweight and shit like that. I'm not 40. I'm definitely overweight, but I don't think I know every fucking thing. Only when it comes to the challenge. But yeah, it was so annoying. But how do you feel about this? Could you get through this?
Absolutely. This is super easy. It's a fucking onion and garlic. It's not a big deal. Like think about the difficult things people have had to eat in a final. Like whether it was something super gross like blood sausage and like you think like the Bloodlines, what they did on that one, or Battle of the Exes 2, where you're like drinking like fish eggs and shit or whatever it was. Like there's much more disgusting things, or like was it Rivals 1 or 2, where they just had it in like insane quantities, where like the quantities were like 10 times bigger. Right. That would be way more difficult. Just eating like one big onion and a big clove of garlic, like that sucks, but it's not the worst thing ever.
Another show that's not ours, some podcast where I'm like, hey, props. I'm not going to mention them. But they did say, they're like, so this is the first time where this is vegetarian, vegan friendly. Nehemiah didn't eat meat for like 10 years, something like that. And then all of a sudden he has to eat like a whole half pound or a whole pound of guts on All Stars 3. Remember that shit?
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
He had to throw away his fucking his sobriety chip of meat. He's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, what the heck? He's like, oh, I was 10 years sober, but I was on the challenge and they made me.
Kayla probably has the worst part. She's like crying and shit like that. Although she's by herself, so maybe she had to eat more than asked from the others because, yeah, there's more production bullshit. Let's get on to number 3, though. All right.
Okay.
Number 3 is the 10-digit code. You and your partner have to remember 10 digits. Justine's by her fucking self. This is so horrible. They have to like run and then they have to take this piece of metal and it's like a decoder, I guess, right?
Yeah. And think of all these different legs of the final. And remember when Kayla was alone or Justine was alone, Desi could have been their partners at either time. It wouldn't have hurt anything.
That's true. Yeah.
It doesn't really make any sense why Desi wasn't there. Well, she was there. She was just behind the camera and just waiting for this to wrap up.
So horrible. And then the whole time she has to fucking Enzo's probably like right there in that same vehicle the entire time. Like,
Yeah.
how awkward is that?
And Enzo's like, hey, you got the extra onions over there. I'm kind of hungry.
So this sucks for Justine because she's by herself, right? And apparently she runs out of time. She runs out of time. Tyson says that she actually forgot, like she went and had to go back to remember some numbers, but then she forgot her decoder the second time or something like that, right? And they just make her run out of time. What is the difference between that and what's about to happen with the overnight thing with Angela? She moves some dirt. She's by herself this time, and she's like, "There's no way I could beat you guys." They give her 2/3 of the pile instead of half. I believe 2/3 is more than half, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that logic? And if anything, she should have been given a 4th because she can't take breaks. You're working with a partner. You could wheelbarrow, come back, lay it down, sit there while your partner loads up, walks, comes back, and then you go. You know what I mean? None of this was there. Oh my God, this is so terrible. This is like, I feel like I'm going back to some traumatic moment in my life. Yeah. We're sitting a therapist is like, well, so why do you think you hate reality TV, Vince? I'm like, I guess it all started. I'm like, fuck you, man! Don't make me relive this. It's like, it's not your fault, Vince. It's not your fault.
Yeah. And Angela had made her plans known to production. And they never said, well, if you stop right now, we're going to disqualify you. She's just like, I'll take last place. I'll lose the points. I won't get any of the points. Everyone else will get the points. I'll just concede last place. And they're like, as they think about it, they're like, well, let's just disqualify her. All right. Yeah, let's get rid of her. It's like,
it's like, oh, she outthought us. Fuck that. Fuck her. You know what I mean? Again, this is the challenge, trying to say like, oh, this is the best Big Brother you have. She's out, Like they want to break everyone. The other thing is that apparently, according to Tyson, and I'll believe this until fucking Dominic says otherwise, until Sarah says otherwise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Dominic and Sarah, they were the only ones to finish. Production eventually walked up to them, and it was at 4 a.m, and they're like, guys, we, the producers, have been up
all day
till 4. Yeah. They're like, who do you think is recording you guys exactly, and shit like that, and fucking you over. Those assholes are sleepy. So we're just gonna cut everything off right here. And whoever had it the furthest will get 5 and then 4, But Dominic and Sarah actually do finish it. Everyone else, they blow the horn. They don't finish. They're just like, no, you got second place and so forth, right? That was at 4 a.m. Because they have to wake up at 7 a.m. Isn't that nuts? That's absurd.
It's so stupid. And I've said this every final where they do the overnight thing. Why the fuck is there an overnight portion of the final? If you're going to make it 2 days, just let them sleep. Don't make them stand on a log. Don't make them bead beads onto a string or whatever the hell they were doing that one season. All of this is so stupid. It's just like, okay, one person gets to sleep while the other person has to stand. Or no, you guys have to move a bunch of dirt. Just let them sleep. But ultimately, it shouldn't even be overnight. If you start at 4 in the morning, you should be able to wrap up the final at nighttime right as the sun's going down. That's when it should finish. And you should be able to produce it in a way and have everything set up where your course is over, 4 miles a stretch or whatever, and you can do everything in a certain amount of time, or 10-mile stretch or whatever it's going to be.
We did the Tough Mudder, and that was 12 miles.
Yeah.
It took us, what, 3 hours to do, something like that?
Exactly.
Thanks to yours truly.
And if you took a Tough Mudder course and you just inserted some puzzles, 4 puzzles, like every 4 miles you threw in a puzzle or an eating competition, like that's literally all you need to do. Like the final, was it Rivals 2? When they're on that island and they just have to do like 4 separate laps around the island, and every time you have to stop at a different checkpoint. It made sense. It was like perfectly set up.
Exactly. And that was a 2-dayer, but Island 1 was day 1, then they slept on a yacht, and then Island 2 was day 2. Mm-hmm. Perfect. That is by far like my favorite final, by the way. The other thing is, real quick. Okay. Just because we're talking about Wes, because he won Rivals 2, right? Wes in general. Might cut this because we only have so much time. Okay, so Wes won Duel 1, the most stacked male seasons ever, right?
Yeah.
He also won All Stars 3. Equally stacked. Generation-wise as well. Greatest fucking seasons ever. Wes is the man. If I'm Wes, I'm like smoking up, and I'm like, man, I fucking beat the best twice. You know what I mean?
All right, can I be devil's advocate here? Wes won the Duel 1 because he knows how to play soccer. Just like Danny won this season because he knows how to play Sudoku. I see no difference.
That is bad. Ooh. That's such a broad stroke. I mean, some of it is true, but it's so broad, Dave. But that's for another time. All right, let's get to the final leg. Okay, so in the morning, for 3 hours, the majority of them got to sleep, right? Angela's been sleeping a lot longer. TJ shows up, and they all come out, and it was like, hey, Angela, you are DQ'd. You didn't even try to finish. I want to say, define try to finish. She did technically move dirt. Is that not trying to finish? I don't know. This was so uneventful. This was such a kick in the nuts where I'm already down. You know what I mean? Where I'm just like, this fucking final sucks. And I was actually like, good for you, Angela. You fucking found a way to get through something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even if it's true, even if they're like, oh, we justify this as quitting or whatever, don't do it. She's a star. We love her this season, Fuck.
All right, let's pause here for a second.
Oh, shit.
This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, geez. Oh, okay. My God, the sun is coming in. Okay, so yeah, TJ, he's like, Angela, you're out of here.
So is the reason that they kicked her off just because production was jealous that she got like 6 hours of sleep and they only got like an hour and a half of sleep? I think they were just jealous that they didn't get as much sleep, and they're like, fuck her, send her home, disqualify her.
Well, that's the thing where like Tyson, he included the fact that they're like, we've also been up till 4 a.m. You know what I mean? Where they're like, this isn't cool when we have to be up and we're just watching, It's just, I want to know what kind of people these producers are. I want to know how many. This is almost like judges, where like you don't see the judge and you don't know the scores and shit like that. You know what I mean? You're like, this is bullshit. There's some bullshit happening here. I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, Angela, this like, so right away, her being let go, I'm not rooting really for anyone now, like because she's not a very like, approachable person. She's very cold and very calculating and stuff like that. But to have her go away in that fashion, it just deflated my sails so much. But we got to keep going. This is the final leg of the thing. It's going to be double points. Isn't that weird how they always do that at the end?
I love
Like,
that.
to shake it up. I hate it. Hate it with me, Dave. Say it.
I hate it too. Well, it's, double points or it's triple points. It's like when you watch Jeopardy and then the first round goes by and then they're like, now double Jeopardy, everything's worth twice as much. So you're like, okay, so everything we watched prior to this doesn't really even matter because it wasn't really worth anything.
I just wish Alex Trebek had lived and TJ had I'm joking, of course. Terrible
Alex
joke.
Trebek,
but I do.
he also worked for CBS. Isn't Jeopardy a CBS show?
Whoa, you mean we could have had some fucking Jeopardy contestants competing on here as well? Who was that one dude who went on like an insane streak?
Ken Jennings, yeah.
Was that, yeah?
Yeah, he was the guy who went on a long streak. I think he's the winningest guy. He's also guest hosted some.
I prefer Kat Dennings. Not as
Who
smart.
the fuck is that?
You don't know her? She's on the hit Two Broke Girls. She's the...
Oh, okay. You're using the term hit very loosely.
I'm just saying I'd hit that is what I'm
okay.
Okay, so this final leg is fucking double the points. You're gonna have to do... You're going up this fucking cold-ass mountain, and then you're gonna go to a puzzle. I don't know how to describe it. It's shapes. Yeah. Classic puzzle, I guess. Then up some more, and then you gotta do the Sudoku. Or Sudoku.
Sudoku?
Sudoku? Fuck. So this is what I have to say about this. I've never done the Sudoku. And from what I can tell, if you don't know how to do it, if you're not given the instructions, like Tyson said, how are you supposed to do that? You know what I mean? Because you see the Sudoku a lot in your life in the newspaper.
Yeah.
I personally have never tried to do it.
So I had an ex-girlfriend who would always play Sudoku on her phone. And I tried a couple games and like I would play it like on easy mode. And so like I know how to do it. And I thought to myself, like when I was first watching this final, I was like, Sudoku's not that hard. Like I understand the concept. If you look at their boards, there's, some of it is filled in with a decent amount of numbers. It can't be that hard. So what I did was I paused the screen on Tyson's puzzle because they all had different puzzles. So I printed off a Sudoku grid. I wrote in all the numbers that Tyson had on there, and I tried to solve it. And after 45 minutes of trying to solve it, I had to fucking throw it away because it was impossible to solve. I couldn't figure it out. I know how to do Sudoku, and I could not pass his. I'm in the 45 minutes I tried to do it, I had to start over multiple times because if you screw up one spot, it will have a chain effect. You won't realize that you screwed up until multiple other answers are fit in. and then you realize, oh crap, and then you have to backtrack, but you can't just like backtrack. You basically have to clear the board, like Tyson says, and just start over again. And I'm sitting in an air conditioned office at work, doing this. I was on company time, so it wasn't that bad. But I'm like, if you're on the side of a mountain and it's freezing rain and they couldn't, like, you didn't have the proper jackets and footwear and gloves to stay warm, and you like, people are dropping from hypothermia, going to the medical tent. And you're like, I don't know how to fucking do this. Like, how am I supposed to do it if I don't know how? Like, I knew how to play the game and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, like I was saying, I've seen a Sudoku plenty of times in the paper, but I don't remember them being that big. You know what I mean? Like that many numbers. I have a vague memory of like what a grid looks like, but it looked bigger in that. Yeah. But you know what though? Oh my gosh. Danny, he was given a Sudoku book by someone that wasn't his fucking wife. Holy shit, was I relieved. I was like,
what? It wasn't Kiki?
You know other people. You exist outside of Kiki. Good for you, man. Grasp onto those memories.
Does Kiki know about this? Who gave it to him?
She doesn't know.
She's going to be upset. Kiki might be a little bit jealous.
So we actually got to see Kiki. We kind of glazed over that. Yeah. Let me just say, it's impossible to live up to the expectation, right?
I don't know. I guess. Like, I don't remember her at all. Like, I just don't remember.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyways, Danny is experienced with Sudoku. I am not. I would have been fucked as well. And I would have also, who knows, maybe I would have quit as well because you're freezing. Remember fucking Tyson? Like, he has his pieces, like, he's fucking shaking like crazy. Yeah. Everyone's miserable.
And Tyson has, like, almost no body fat. He's like skinny bones. Exactly. A skinny dude.
I would have been perfectly fine. Like, let's go. If anything, I'm going to lose a layer, all right? But I just don't know how to do Sudoku.
Yeah, you and your partner Big Easy would have been so warm.
Whoa. If anything, I'm more like Dominic fat. Right. I'm Dominic fat. I'm not Big Easy fat. Jesus Christ.
But no, I'm not saying you're Big Easy fat, but Big Easy would have been able to, huddle for warmth. You would have been fine. You would have been toasty. You just put your hands in his armpits. Warm you up.
So let's get into this. They get there. Danny eventually does finish his puzzle. He takes off. Sarah's way fucking behind, right? So
he's
Tyson's
back at that first puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually, there was a shot of her not even doing the puzzle. She was like on the other side of the road, huddled up.
Sitting down. I thought she quit.
Exactly, dude. I was like, oh, she quit.
And I think she did. But I think production went up and they're like, hey, everyone else quit up the road. We need you to finish this. And they'll kind of like whisper in her ear, like, hey, put the blue piece in the upper left corner, put that yellow one on the upper right. And I think they kind of walked her through it. It's what it seemed like watching
it. And okay, say someone's watching this podcast for like the very first time or something like that, just because they're like, dude, I would love Survivor. I love Love Island, Amazing Race, Big Brother. And they're like, oh my God, they wouldn't do that to us, would they? We're season challenge viewers. We're like, the challenge is full of shit. We have tried to call them out on so much shit. And even other challengers have said, like, yeah, some BS was going on. So yeah, this is the UFC. of reality TV.
Yeah.
It's better to be in somewhere else. Don't make the glitzy thing of the challenge fool you. You're better off doing something else.
Yeah, we've watched 37 seasons of a challenge plus multiple all-star seasons, challenge or stars versus pros, stars versus champ, spin-offs. We've seen it all. And like we can tell when they're not, I don't know, like we can tell when something's kind of shady and you're like, oh, that editing is a little bit off here. Why would they do that? The fact that they showed Sarah sitting down and seemed kind of defeated, and you're like, oh, okay, she's done for. But then they cut back up to the Sudoku puzzle, where it's because Sarah was cold down there, and everybody's cold and freezing because, like Tyson said on his podcast, they had to run at first. So some of the people didn't want to have jackets on because they're like, why? And then they realized that they couldn't get their jacket back if they left their jacket behind. They're like, well, you chose not to have a jacket, and they wouldn't give them a jacket. I'm like, well, that's really screwed up. Like, people are going to get hypothermia. Like, you have to like give them jackets and coats and like be prepared for the weather. Like, we've seen other finals where they're on like a mountaintop and they had like snow pants. They had the proper gear. This is the first time I've ever seen them on a mountain where they're like, nope, we don't have anything to keep you guys warm. Sorry. You get a rain jacket. It's not even a winter jacket. It was like a rain jacket.
Yep. So Tyson, Dominic, Justine, and Kayla. I think Kayla gets there right after they quit. I think, is that how it went?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Justine, I don't remember. But eventually, they're just like, no, this is impossible. And Dominic is like, okay, so I don't care for him at all. But he's kind of like yelling at the camera crew. He's like, okay, this is ridiculous. We've been out here, blah, 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 right? All true, all facts. And he's like, this is fucking stupid, And I'm like, yeah, he's being real. This is horrible. Production is a joke. So they quit. Eventually, Kayla shows up. She quits as well. We've seen quitting in the challenge. TJ hates quitters. TJ, I'm sure he was like off camera, just like production was like holding him back. He was just like trying to go off, and like he was like John. He was like what's his name? Who's the cowboy? John Wayne. That time that the Native American protester.
Oh yeah.
Marlon Brando's Oscar.
Little
John
feather.
Wayne was like held back by like 6 guys because he wanted to beat the shit out of her. That's TJ. Wanting to like beat up all the quitters.
How dare you talk bad about my thing?
But Danny never quit. He is and rightfully so in first place, right? He gets to the end. He does the fucking what is
He
it?
did?
Dragon Ball Z. Yeah. I wanted to feel good about this, but he didn't provide much for me. He was always talking about his fucking wife, and I don't know.
I love Danny. Danny's a super nice guy. Danny is like the kind of guy that you would meet at like church where they're so nice and it just seems like fake or phony, and you're like, is this a real person? Is this an act? Like, you're just too nice. And you're like, there has to be more to you that I don't see. And I'm sure there is, because, he's just on a TV show and he's holding his shit together, I'm sure, for like the entire month of filming. But then, he's like, shut up, Kiki, damn it. Like, he just lets out all his rage when he's at home. I don't know. There's got to be a dark side to Danny. It's too good to be true, and I don't buy it.
Wow. Well, first, let me just say that Vincent Cloud doesn't hold the same ideas and opinions as David Lauer
I don't-
does, even though we're on the same show. I don't
You know
think
what I'm
Danny's
saying though? When
gonna
someone
be-
seems so perfect, you're like, okay, they seem like a perfect person, but there's got to be something imperfect about them that I'm not aware of.
yeah, you
And
need
that's
him to have a
Danny.
dark
Like he knows Sudoku. He's happy all the time. He's in a happy marriage. Everything's perfect. There's something's up, all right?
In my opinion, I hate math, so his dark side is that he does do Sudoku. So yeah.
Oh, well, that's valid.
All right. Okay, but how do we feel when Sarah makes it across?
Well, it didn't make any sense because every girl who had done anything had had trouble with everything, but then Sarah just walks up there and does it in no time, like boop, just throwing the numbers on the board, like boop, 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 and she's been outside in the elements the same amount of time. Yeah, she was down the hill further a little bit, but it was snowing and cold there, like, and she just does it like nothing, and she's like, I want to be able to tell my son that I never gave up, blah blah blah, and it's just like she did it so flawlessly. Where I'm also like, my bullshit detector is like, something's up here. I don't totally believe this.
Yeah.
Like she was failing and was in last place and not even relatively close to all of a sudden now she's gonna win and she does win. I feel like production helped her with the puzzles, both of them.
Okay. Well, this is the thing. What's his name? Danny's like, hey, I know Sudoku, right? Tyson is like, I don't know Sudoku. Sarah never mentions anything about it. Does she ever even mention the name Sudoku? Like, I don't know. That's the weird thing.
If we ever ran into Sarah, all we'd want to do is get a fucking Sudoku book and be like, all right, page 42, finish it. I'm timing you. I want to see if you can do it.
Really? If you ever meet her, you're gonna like, right here, bitch.
Yeah, right now. You don't get a phone a friend. You don't get production whispering in your ear. I want to see it.
Okay, so hey, that's the end. I want to know, are you excited for the fucking conclusion? Because we're not going to be able to watch the Challenge Argentina or UK or Australia, but presumably we can watch the final part where all the winners are there plus some others, I guess.
What do you mean we're not going to be able to watch them? They're not going to be on Paramount Plus?
I don't think so. From what I can tell, like Channel 6, whatever that means. I've seen this before, the Spanish version of their television channel, their big thing. Fuck. But that's going to be Argentina. From what I can tell, no, I don't think it's going to be broadcast to us.
Huh.
I don't know, though. I don't know.
And because one of my things is if these people are all from Argentina, do they speak Portuguese? Like, are they gonna have to subtitle the entire show? Are we gonna be able to understand anything on the show?
I'm not. I'm
Do
sure.
they only cast people that are bilingual, perhaps, and make them speak in English? I don't know.
That's a good point. That's a good point, actually. Really good point. And I don't know if in Argentina they do speak Portuguese. They might have been colonized by some other fucking place, assuming they were colonized, and they're just speaking Argentinian. But yeah. Okay, so that was the end, right?
Yep.
I'm not psyched on seeing Danny again or Sarah.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. It's like, if I'd like to see Tyson versus the best people. Danny, I don't really know because Danny never went into an elimination.
Yep.
I don't know. Like, personality wise, he's just such a nice guy. He's not like entertaining at really at any point, with drama with other people in the house. So I don't know. And Sarah, Sarah's fine. She's entertaining because she's just got a loud mouth, but she's straddling the line of entertaining and annoying so much where it's like people who like Josh, where it's like, is he entertaining or is he just fucking annoying? And
Right.
the more you watch them, the more you're like, no, they're just annoying.
The big question is, okay, so we get those two back, assuming they can come back, because Tyson said he will not. He's like, they lied to us about the money. They were like $500,000, and then when they get there, they're like, actually, you're splitting that with someone. So assuming that Tyson won this, yet he still was like, you lied to me. Fuck you. I'm not coming back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Unless the champions are under contract. I don't know.
Perhaps
Okay, so
in order to get their winnings, they're like, you have to agree to do the next show.
oh, that's terrible. Okay, so now with all this being said, this is the last thing I have to say. Two winners for Challenge USA, Danny and Sarah. There'll be two winners from the other three. That's not a big cast.
Yeah.
How's
So
the
that's gonna
rest
be
going to be
8
filled
people.
out? Yeah, how's the rest going to be filled out?
That's why I thought everybody who was going to make it to the final was going to make it to the next show. So I
To the
figured
final.
if there's 4 shows, you get eight people from each show. So 4 guys, 4 girls from each show. And then you have 32 for the final show. I don't know. Like that would make sense, but you can't just have the winners. So they're going to have to like try and get Tyson. He's going to say no. They'll probably ask Dominic and I think a lot of the Survivor people are going to say no. Angela got fucked over. She's going to say no. Desi got fucked over. She's going to say no. Enzo, I mean, could they possibly, Enzo might say yes, but like, would they dare ask him if he's just going to quit? Like, who the fuck is going to show up? Like, I don't know.
Wow. I don't know. Interesting little portion of this experiment that is CBS The Challenge. Turns out it's basically just MTV The Challenge, but with all new faces, but the same bullshitty producers.
Yeah. And what they do on Survivor is they record 2 seasons back to back every time. So that way they go out, they produce a season, and then they produce the second season, then they wrap up, and then they release those 2 seasons over the course of a year. And it would make sense if they did that with a challenge where they were in Argentina to do the Challenge USA, and then now they're doing the Challenge Argentina, but they didn't record it all at the same time. They like left, and then why didn't you do it all at the same time? Then you could use, all the same eliminations, like everything's set up, but production is not smart enough to do that, I guess.
I actually looked up all the seasons. I got the most information about the Challenge Australia, and they showed the whole cast. I, of course, don't know any of them, right? But apparently they have Love Island Australia, Big Brother Australia.
Really?
They have all that. Yeah, they have this exact same fucking thing. So I can't wait. If I can watch it, I can't wait for the Challenge Australia to just decimate Big Brother Survivor, make them look like pieces of shit. They're not good enough to compete in this. We're gonna make them miserable and want to quit. Fucking bullshit, man. Oh God. All right, so hey, that's the end, right?
Yep.
Like, subscribe, comment. This was Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud
And Hardcore Dave.